Blessings to you all. This is Friday Motivation, and we're coming down to the last few weeks of 2020. And I have a couple questions that I've been sitting down writing in my journal, writing in my journal this morning, and it's three questions that a friend of mine gave me. It's sent to me, and this is what they were doing: is asking themselves, working through these three questions as they're getting prepared to transition into a new season. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to sit down. I sat down this morning and I started asking myself these three questions. I'm going to ask them to you, and hopefully you get a time over the weekend to really take some time and be very intentional about asking yourself these three questions. The first question is, what lessons have you gained from this year? What lessons have you gained from this year that is going to set you up to continue to excel and grow in 2021? That's the first question. What have you learned? The second question is, what have you learned about yourself in this year? What have you learned about yourself? And the third question is, how have you grown in this new year, in this year? Like, how have you grown? And I thought that these are like really three very profound questions when it comes to self-reflection. Because it's like so easy for us to get distracted and focus on the external and never really take the time to focus on the internal, which is ourselves. Taking the time to ask ourselves some really deep, reflective questions like, what lessons have you gained from this year that is going to, again, put you in a new season that you're going to be able to flourish and grow? What have you learned about yourself? I remember growing up, all the way until my mid 30s, I was very uncomfortable with myself. I was that guy that would do everything within my ability and power to surround myself with anything that represented noise and chaos. And I didn't understand why I was doing it at the time, but I did these things to block out my inner voice. I didn't want it to hear my inner voice. I didn't want to hear my conscience. I didn't want to hear that internal compass, moral compass telling me that I was already on the wrong path, right? So I created these distractions, these external noise and everything to just distract me from not listening to myself. And most people do this, right? We create these things to not listen to ourselves. So this is why the second question is so deep to me. What have you learned about yourself? Have you taken the time to sit with yourself, to speak to self, to say, what have we learned that we're going to be able to take into 2021? And what do we need to leave behind? Like, take the time, grab a journal, get a good cup of coffee, and sit down and ask yourself that. And lastly, how have you grown in this year? Like, what investments did you what investments did you do that is going to prepare you to propel you in moving forward in business, finance, health, relationships, whatever that is? What type of investments have you done? These three questions, I think, is very profound questions that I encourage you all to sit back and ask yourself as you're preparing to go into a new season this year. Please leave a comment as well about, hey, these are some of the things that I've learned about myself. This is what I've invested in myself. Because I really want to have a dialogue with you guys about it, because the more we talk about it, the more we publicly pronounce or declare what it is that we're doing, the more we continue to hold ourselves accountable for that. So you guys have a blessed Friday. Go into this weekend being more thoughtful and more reflective on what are you striving to accomplish as you go forward. You guys have a blessed day. Peace.